Our next garbage cabin is a light cabin, and you wouldn't think that because we don't have hardly very many light cabins in the D category, but the Cerberus is one of them. I wanted to love this cabin. It has a built-in melee weapon right on the front. But what the problem is just look at the way this thing is designed. You try and use that borer drill, you just end up wedging yourself, making this cabin extremely hard to build around and pretty much nullifying the perk. That melee that's built into the front, you will almost never get kills with that. I swear to you, it's a flaming pile of garbage, this cabin.
Scathing review by Mr.G. Cerberus indeed kinda does have a bad rap for a cab. I wonder why exactly that is though. If you look at the stats, it's not bad for a light cab. It's got 8500 max limit, which is the most important aspect. This cab's a little bit more. Next up is Cerberus, along with Harpy. Then when tonnage is kind of in the middle. Lowest one is 37 from the cockpit, highest is 45 from the Tusk and the Harpy. I don't think tonnage is ever really a big deal. You slap on a couple more wheels and tonnage should be fine. So yeah, stats are very solid. So what he says mainly is it is very, very hard because of the smaller, it kind of wedges itself. Why is that? Because every melee player knows you put the melee low, like that. As you can see, the cab is on the frame and it's one bit higher than it should be. But I don't think that's really fair because yes, it is a cab that does need some extra kind of building around so it doesn't wedge itself. And there's so many ways to do this. First of all, you can pair that with other kind of smaller bits. And you can also build yourself your standard wedge. Now what's cool about this cabin lately is it was a little bit improved so that directly below you do have some nice weld bits. Check that out. So you could do something like put a frame there and build some kind of standard wedge. So now you wedge them right up against here into the smaller bit. I mean, problem solved. So if that's the only problem, then I'm sorry, this cabin definitely is not a D-class cabin. What do you say? So let's give it a shot. Today I'll be testing out a bunch of stuff. Got here a whole bunch of things. Got a harvester and cloak and Argus and tormentor. Maybe too much. So a left click does the annihilator, which unfortunately is needed for the harvester perk. And I also have Argus, which is essential these days, and a cloak. Should be everything that you need for melee, including Argus for anti-cap can, so there really shouldn't be any weakness, supposedly. But I say all the time that Harvester does not have any damage even with the perk these days. So we'll also try this. I'm going to try 2 Maulers and 2 Lacerators. You know if those go together. Still have the Argus. I still have to have it these days, and a cloak. Here is another one with Buzzsaws. I did a chart with Coldfire a long time ago that kind of showed that Buzzsaws do hell of a lot of damage, and Cerberus definitely adds significant damage to it. Now I have Argus, of course, and cloak. And I did put on 2 Lances. Tell you man, melee is having a really tough time in general, and Lances definitely do help give it a little bit of punch. The problem with Lances, I find that these hybrid builds, I find that it's worth it taking off more melee just to add more Lances until eventually I have stuff like this, which is just all freaking Lances. It does have 2 Buzzsaws on the bottom that definitely does help to anti-wedge. And the thing I love about this one is the useless gas gen. I can get rid of it right off the bat, get rid of my Lances, and now that my Buzzsaws are working. This guy is a beast in free-for-all. Love it, love it, love it. So, I don't know man, Cerberus has maybe a glimmer of hope. Let's try this out. Alright, quick build recap time. So the Spitfire job was pretty okay. I can't really say the cab did a whole lot. Probably Howl could have done just as well. The Mauler Lacerator was intriguing, pretty simple. Not a whole lot of stuff in this guy. Would like to try it some more. The Buzzsaws just didn't do enough damage. You just kind of get stuck and then die. So maybe a Tormentor on that might help. And the Harvester guy was just too complicated. The same key had the Annihilator and the Tormentor, which was kind of complicated. It also had this and Cloak everything. So it was okay, not horrible, and I definitely think Cerberus was not a garbage cab like people will say. It definitely has some kind of potential. But do leave in the comments what do you think about Cerberus. Is it totally dead or can have some...
Dirky, I disagree. It still totally sucks. Keep on dirking.
Where the hell did that come from?
Don't drop that Dirky Dirk, hey, don't drop that Dirky